Mother's milk, the food all mothers can trust.
Inspired to live.
Breastfeeding is said to be the best possible start in life you can give your baby. From the earliest moments of a child's life, breastfeeding can mean the difference between life and death. Breastfeeding gives growing children an once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to grow and develop their full potential. Now, globally, about 2 out of 5 of all newborns are put to the breast within an hour of birth, and only about 40% of children under 6 months of age are exclusively breastfed. Now, according to the World Health Organization, scaling up and improving breastfeeding practices could save the lives of up to 823,000 children under the age of 5 years every year. Now, World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated every year from the 1st to the 7th of August. And the theme this year is Breastfeeding, Foundation for Life. So today we're discussing breastfeeding. We have an expert guest panel that will help us look at all aspects of breastfeeding, including benefits, consequences of not breastfeeding, breastfeeding in public, breastfeeding at the workplace, and the rights and protection of the breastfeeding mom. Now, this panel is comprised of a child health specialist from the National Department of Health, a nutrition advisor from SAXOWatch. Now, that's the South African Civil Society for Women's, Adolescents, and Children's Health, and the assistant project manager from Mom Connect, and a lactation consultant with 2 breastfeeding moms who will share their experiences of breastfeeding with us. Now, be part of the show by asking the panel some questions or simply just sharing your views with us. The number to call in that case is Johannesburg 714-6918 or 6919. You can also tweet us at SABC Health Talk or simply interact with us on our Facebook page, SABC Health Talk. So sit back, relax, and learn from this bumper show ahead. Coming to you just after a short break. I'm Dr. Selom Taung, and this is Health Talk.
One's life can change in an instant. It is then that you need fast and efficient service. And that is why Asupol created the Instant Groceries benefit for you. Minutes after a claim, an electronic voucher for 2,500 Rand will be sent to your cell phone. And within an instant, you can start doing shopping at all the major stores. More than 700,000 customers have already received the Instant Groceries benefit. Get yours in an instant. SMS call to 32813.
Dose of entertainment news. Watch Trends Saturday at 12 p.m.
The bank is going down.
I'm angry. 2017 financial statements of VBS did not present an accurate account of the mutual bank's financial position.
We are not happy at all.
We had a trust on this bank.
Because that's about 500,000.
So that trust is gone. It's gone.
Hey, amakazi asipulele since kusucceeded as Fatimbawula like yabanda le goli, and then sesise decide ukuthi sivele sibase umlilo khona sokhona nokufudumala kusebenze kunakahle.
Police killers are not coming from the sky. They are actually coming from the communities where we are. So it cannot be correct.
We regret what has happened because the strike affects everyone. So is electricity. Electricity also affects everyone. It's a community problem.
We are owing ESCOM. Currently, we could not reconcile the bill, what they bill us, with theirs. We could not agree.
SABC News celebrates Women's Month.
According to Sister Kidiboni Mafoto from Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, the mothers have responded positively to the breastfeeding awareness campaign.
The mothers are now aware that they can breastfeed. We had a problem with the mothers who are HIV positive who believed that because they are positive they cannot breastfeed. But since we've been doing these campaigns, they know that they can also breastfeed their babies because they are taking the pill, and it doesn't mean that they will infect their babies with HIV. So the response has been good. Those mothers who said, when I'm going to work, I'm going to have a problem, I won't be able to breastfeed, we've actually encouraged them that no, you can express the milk and leave it at home and let the caretaker give the baby the milk, the breast milk, and it doesn't have to be that you're moving the baby from the breast milk to the formula because you are a working mother.
But the campaign has been met with a few challenges.
We have obstacles that we have with the mothers in terms of maternity leave, which is one of their problems. They will always tell you that the maternity leave is for 4 months, but what are you saying to us? You are saying to us breastfeed for exclusively 6 months, which becomes a very problem for us and the mothers. But in those instances, we do teach them about the alternative ways of continuing a breastfeeding, which are the methods of expressing a breast milk and how to keep it safe for their babies at home.
The major challenge comes after mothers leave the hospital.
According to our statistics, it shows that most of the mothers, they leave the hospital breastfeeding exclusively. When they change, then it will be now when they get home. But when they leave in the hospital, that stats indicates that we have a good indicator for mothers who are breastfeeding.
How does the campaign assist with the myths around breastfeeding?
We start with the initiation of breastfeeding when they come to our antenatal clinic and educate them on the importance of breastfeeding, because what is said out there in the public doesn't generally portray the benefits of breastfeeding, or it's usually not more marketing towards formula milk is more promoted and given out to the public. So when they come to our facility, we try to educate them on the benefits of breastfeeding and possible dangers of either mixed feeding or formula feeding their children given their situation.
All right, let's unpack all these aspects around breastfeeding, and it's a great pleasure to introduce my guests to you. First one is Dr. Leslie Bamford. Dr. Bamford is a child health specialist from the National Department of Health. Welcome to Health Talk, Dr. Bamford.
Good morning to you and to the viewers.
All right, and next to Dr. Bamford is Jane Sibidi, who is the Assistant Project Manager from Mom Connect. Welcome to Health Talk, Jane.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for inviting us to talk to you.
All right. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Chantel Witten. Chantel Witten is the nutrition lead at Saxowatch, and she'll tell us a little bit about what Saxowatch is, and she's also a lecturer at the Northwest University. Welcome to Health Talk, Chantel.
Thank you, Dr. Selo.
All right. Perhaps let's start with you, Dr. Bamford. We're talking breastfeeding, and obviously everybody knows what breastfeeding is, but let's talk about the benefits of breastfeeding. Why are we saying to mothers that they should breastfeed their babies?
Well, we certainly believe, and there's very good evidence, that breastfeeding is the best foundation, the best start in life for children. And that's for a number of reasons. I think you mentioned in the introduction, breast milk and breastfeeding, particularly exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, certainly has survival benefits. And what we mean by that is that children are less likely to die if they are being breastfed in comparison with children who are not being breastfed. So that's very important. But there are also other benefits. Breastfeeding increases bonding between the mother and the child. We know that children who have been breastfed, it's such a good foundation. It lasts a lifetime, and it assists them to learn and to develop and to do well at school and later in life. There are health benefits as well, less likely to have problems like allergies, less likely to have conditions like diabetes when they're much older. There are also benefits for mothers in terms of preventing certain cancers. So all in all, from a health point of view and the child's development, it's a fantastic start in life. And we haven't even started talking about the practicalities of not having the burden of having to buy replacement feeds.
Right. So it benefits both the child and the mother. Very, very important. Jen, what are the practices, or generally, perhaps let's start talking about awareness. What's the level of awareness out there like? And perhaps that leads us to you telling us about what Mom Connect is and what you do in terms of increasing awareness on breastfeeding.
Thank you, Dr. Sello. Our program is called Mom Connect, which is a program which is closer to the moms and initiated by the Minister, Dr. Motsoaledi, launched in August to support and empower the mothers with vital information about pregnancy, labor, breastfeeding, and reminders about immunization.
Okay. And who accesses this? Is it only those that are pregnant?
Yes, it's only for pregnant mothers, and we also cater for post-delivery from newborn to 1 year, and we're going to be extending to 2 years.
I see. So what sort of breastfeeding messages? I would imagine, there's a whole lot that you talk to the pregnant mothers about, but just let's focus on breastfeeding. What sort of messages do you send out, and how do you do it?
All right. Once the moms are registered, they receive 2 messages a week, and a total of messages are about 150, which includes from newborn to 1 year. And basically, whilst they are pregnant, they'll be reminded about the importance of breastfeeding, the importance of colostrum, the importance of breastfeeding while HIV positive and taking the ARVs.
Okay. Let's invite some comment from Chantel. Chantel, firstly, tell us about Saxo Watch. What is Saxo Watch?
So Saxo Watch is a coalition. We have about 27 organizations. It includes our local NGOs, international NGOs, the academic institutions, and also professionals who work in the field of either women's health, child health. And our main objective as an advocacy network is to work towards the realization of children and women's rights, health rights. So we raise awareness by activities that we organize as Saxo Watch, and we also work very closely with our Department of Health and our Department of Social Development. And with breastfeeding specifically, we are breast friends with Department of Health.
Right. That's an interesting way of putting it. You breast friends.
Yes.
Okay. So let's come back to, in my introduction, I mentioned that only 40% of children, I suppose this is a global sort of picture, are breastfed exclusively for 6 months. What's the picture like in South Africa?
So the latest data that we have for South Africa is actually slightly lower, about a third of mothers or of babies being exclusively breastfed up to 6 months. It must be said that although that figure is still low, it has increased significantly in the last 10 to 15 years. So we feel that we are on the right track, but there is still a lot of work to be done.
Are the targets you're working towards, perhaps?
Our immediate target is to reach 50 to 60%, but obviously in the long term we would like all babies to be exclusively breastfed until 6 months of age.
Okay. And the official policy from the department in terms of breastfeeding is?
Well, we certainly encourage, we believe that all children ideally should be breastfed until at least 2 years of age. And the first 6 months of that should be exclusive breastfeeding. So only breast milk with no other fluids or foods given to the child.
Okay. So we alluded earlier to the fact that there's still a need to increase awareness. The fact that, the figures are still low, it says that we still have a lot of work to do. What's your comment around the issue of awareness on breastfeeding?
Awareness has risen, as Dr. Leslie said. We see the increase in the numbers. But I think it's a little bit more than just awareness. It's about the support mothers get. So in the insert, we saw that mothers breastfeeding in public has raised a few ugly heads in the past, with mothers being asked to either leave establishments or to leave their offices and go and express in the car park. So I think for us as SABC Watch, we would like to see the support. The awareness is raising, but what are we doing about it? We know breastfeeding is important, we know breastfeeding is good, but what are we doing to support mothers? So from our side as SABC Watch, we really want to firstly underline that mothers have the right to breastfeed anywhere, any place, that mothers should be protected in the workplace, that mothers should be protected in our public spaces, and we as the public should then be embracing breastfeeding.
All right. Okay. Well, before we go for a break, let's take Estelle on the line from Bloemfontein. Estelle, welcome to Health Talk.
Yes, hi, good morning, good people. How are you?
We're good. How are you, Estelle?
No complaints, Doc. Man, I just want to tell the ladies that with both my grandchildren, when my daughter was still expecting, she was already bonding with the little one. We have a lot of pictures from how a baby gets born and where does it happen, how the growth succeeds. And every week she gets a message to tell her, this is what your baby should look like now, and this is how big you should be, and this is when you start feeling this. And I think that is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, do you want to comment on that? Not really necessary, is it?
Yeah, I think I could add and say that that's exactly what we do with Mom Connect.
Right.
We actually give them the messages every 2 weeks, and they have this help desk, which is actually helping them to voice. We listen to them. They ask questions relating to how do I latch my baby, how do I breastfeed, how often, how many diapers, the basic things that we may think and take it for granted that they're simple, whereas they might be complicated to those moms. And to add on that, on the help desk, we've got compliments, and the mama coming out, actually appreciating the support that they're receiving from Mom Connect, because they're saying that it's one of its kind, where they can actually voice and we listen to them.
All right. Very interesting. All right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our story on breastfeeding. Please stay with us.
Everyone wants a dignified funeral.
That is what a clientele funeral plan can give you. Lasting dignity.
I just want my family to be there, all relaxed, not worrying about paying for anything, knowing that clientele covered everything.
I would like a dignified funeral, and the rest should be invested for my children's future.
Clientele funeral plans pay out in 24 hours. We will even send 200 Rand airtime. You can cover up to 13 people on one plan. Plans include grocery, unveiling, and transport benefit. Plus, you can get all your premiums back.
I told my family, I don't want a fancy funeral. They must come there for a cook sister and a sandwich, and then they must use the rest of the money for their future.
I will never stop paying my monthly premium. To me, paying my monthly premium is as important as buying groceries.
SMS LIFE to 31043 and we'll call you back.
Is he facing conspiracy? What is the nature of the corruption charges that he faces? But if it's a blatant kind of corruption case, he faces a potential 15 years in prison. And lest we forget, his father is in the dock in a few weeks' time, also facing corruption charges. So those parallels between father and son and the regime change in South Africa and what's happening with our courts at the moment will be something that is profoundly interesting, I think, to all South Africans.
I want to thank and humble myself for the opportunity that was given to me to serve the people by the African National Congress.
The Premier resigning. Now, a new man is taking over the reins.
It's a trust deficit that has widened. I think that has been patently clear from the concerns that people have been raising. So it is not true that there is no money. Or there was no money.
As we commemorate World Breastfeeding Week, we asked mothers at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital about their choices and reasons when it comes to feeding their babies.
Because ibisi lebele, it's always warm. Ibisi lebele anyeke lingivuse ebusuku ngibhizi ngiyofudumeza ibisi, and you get to bond with the child while umncelisa ne ibisi lebele. So mina I prefer, because and it save nemali. Another thing, umntwana ukhula healthy, akabi nama diarrhea and whatever.
Breastfeeding was the choice for me because of emotional bonding and the nurturing that the children gets. Obviously, there's less disease within it as well. And then for me as a mother, I would encourage all the women out there to start with breastfeeding. I'm not saying formula is not best, but to have the bonding and the relationship with your child from an early age, I would encourage you guys to go for breastfeeding.
I prefer breast milk ngoba ingane yami yokuqala I didn't get the chance yokuthi ngimncelise bongaphumi ibisi, so lo manje ngifuna ukuthi ngimbreastfeed, ngifuna ukuzwa le bond leyo, and then I've been educated manje namhlanje ukuthi ama chances ukuthi umntana akhule ma breastfeeder like are very less, uyabona, so uzothola ama minerals.
Ndibe ndikhethe iformula ngesizathu soba benifuna umsebenzi, ngisenzela ba umuntu enza umshiya nomntana angasheke sokola abe elila umntana ndingekho ngenalo ixesha lokumncelisa.
I'd say breastfeeding because it's much easier instead of making a bottle.
So it's much easier than making a bottle indeed, but for some people it might be a bit problematic. I'm still with my guest, Dr. Leslie Bamford, Child Health Specialist at the National Department of Health, Chantal Wheaton, Nutritional Lead from Saxowatch, and Jane Sibidi, Assistant Project Manager from Mom Connect. Okay, so just now we said, I mean, obviously we're saying all of these lovely things about, sending the right messages to our breastfeeding mums, or at least our mums, to say, please breastfeed. But there are certain barriers. For some people, it may not be possible. Perhaps let's start with the medical reasons. Are there any conditions that people have that precludes them from breastfeeding?
So there are, but they are extremely rare, and it's really a very small number of women who, for medical reasons, are unable to breastfeed. Right. It predominantly relates to women who are on certain medications, such as if a woman is being treated for cancer, it's generally not advisable to breastfeed. Yeah. And there are a few conditions, very extremely rare conditions, that a child may have, which preclude the child from being breastfed. Okay. I think the most important thing to say is that there does appear to still be some confusion about whether mothers who are HIV infected can breastfeed.
That's an important one, because I think we in one of the clips we did mention that. So let's clear that confusion.
So our recommendation is certainly that all women who are HIV infected should be on ARV treatment. They should adhere well, and providing they are on ARVs, taking the ARVs, then we recommend that they should breastfeed. Just as in the general population, for up to 2 years, and exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months.
All right. Jane, I'm sure, I mean, you deal with young mums who are pregnant through Mom Connect, and you get lots of stories coming through. Are there any misinformations or myths around, breastfeeding?
Yes, Doctor, there is a lot out there, starting from those who are young and just gotten married, staying with the in-laws. You'll find that with regard to colostrum, they will tell them to wait for days before they can actually have the real milk.
I know most of us know what colostrum is, but what is colostrum?
Okay. The colostrum is the first milk that comes out. It's yellowish, thickish, sugary. Right. That is it's very rich. It's got antibiotic, and it's good to give the newborn, and you need just a tiny little bit to fill a newborn.
Okay. So what's the myth around it?
Most moms believe that it's a dirty milk. That's what is coming through the help desk, and they will actually be told to wait until there is the real white milk coming out. So those are the questions that are posing. Should I feed my baby immediately, or should I wait until I've got real milk? Because they don't call the colostrum real milk.
Chantal, the other issue is people being allowed to breastfeed, or people feeling, having the freedom, let's call it that, to breastfeed in public. Your comments around that?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a new phenomenon that we've seen in the last few years, that women are being ostracized, ridiculed, humiliated, and basically just being rude to when they are breastfeeding. I was a breastfeeding mom 10 years ago, and this was not the culture that we had. So I think it's a little bit about the media. I think it is Women's Month, so we talk about the sexualization of women's bodies. And I think breasts have become the symbol of sex, rather than breast being the symbol of feeding, of love, of comfort. And I think that in the media especially, we need to be talking about breastfeeding. I had an interesting experience the other day. I sent an email about the breastfeeding show, and the IT deleted my email to the person I was sending it because it had the word breast in it. So I think this is what we want to change, is the culture around breastfeeding, the words breastfeeding. We want to see more pictures of breastfeeding. So I think it's lovely when we have shows like Health Talk that can show mothers breastfeeding and it becomes acceptable.
Right.
And I think
except we're not going to do it live. But all right, let's take the lady on the line from the Val. The lady, welcome.
Dr.
Right.
My daughter-in-law on a breastfeed.
Right.
Ka 7 months hanga di thibela pelegi ngwana gana letswele.
Right. 7 months ho etsahetseng? Sorry?
Ka 7 months hanga di thibela pelegi.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. Excellent question. All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Thank you very much. So the question is, the lady says her daughter breastfed until 7 months. And when the daughter started taking contraceptives, the baby refused to continue breastfeeding. That's how it's put. Your comments on that? Firstly, I suppose the one aspect of it is, what is the effect of contraceptives on breastfeeding?
So although there are some effects on the production of breast milk, it's not a contraindication. It's not a reason to stop breastfeeding.
Right.
So although breastfeeding does in itself have some contraceptive effect, we don't recommend that women rely on breastfeeding as a contraceptive method.
Right.
So once after the baby is born, we do recommend that women start using contraception immediately.
So the second part of it is this concept, perhaps let's deal with it, this notion that the baby is just refusing the breast. Under what circumstances does that happen?
Maybe to answer that, two things could be happening. We know that around about 7 months, as the case presented to us, babies start to feed. So moms are feeding and should be feeding, which is fair. But then if they're feeding the baby will be less likely to take the breast.
Right.
So when we educate our moms and they start to complementary feed, we say to moms, first give the breast and then give the food that you are introducing to your baby.
Right.
So you will see a little bit less of the baby taking the breast when food starts to be introduced. The second reason is that moms don't put the baby to the breast all the time. We talk about breastfeeding on demand. And it's usually a term we use during the first 6 months for exclusive breastfeeding. But it's the same for the child as the child is getting older, towards 1 year old. It should be on demand. And as a dietitian, we see often that moms are giving their babies a lot of fluids to drink. So it's either the juice or the tea or the flavored water. So if you're filled up with all of these extra fluids, would you be taking the breast? I think unlikely, because you're overfeeding and not making enough opportunity for moms to breastfeed. And I think when the child refuses, it's because I've had too much already.
You wanted to add to that?
No.
No, okay. So the next issue, I mean, we're talking about barriers to breastfeeding. We've spoken a little bit about, breastfeeding in public, some of the attitudes, public attitudes and so on. But the other area is the workplace. Can we perhaps just focus on that just for 2 minutes? Let's start with you, Jane.
Yes. I think that as employers, we should actually support the moms with, especially those who just came back from work, to provide them with enough, like 1 to 2 hours for them to express. For those who are exclusively breastfeeding, we should actually support them and create a private place. It doesn't need to be a fancy one, a coach where they can actually sit there and breastfeed and support and listen to them when they actually need to go and express, so that they can continue with exclusive breastfeeding.
I suppose the message is given to the mums is that please continue breastfeeding even at work.
Yes, absolutely. So I think increasingly, we understand that everyone needs to support breastfeeding. It's unfair to place the responsibility solely on the mother. So we need to make sure that our healthcare workers are providing mothers with support to support them to breastfeed. We've talked about the issues about supporting mothers being able to breastfeed in public, but families need to support mothers to breastfeed and employers.
I think it's a good point to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on breastfeeding. Please stay with us.
The story of Guatyu is a microcosm of the problems that continue to plague land reform, where the challenges of redistribution, restitution and security of tenure include not only addressing past injustices and making farms productive, but reclaiming identity.
I had, this belief that this is our government. Definitely, they will do whatever they can do for us to change our lives. But unfortunately, I think I was just naive.
It is the government of South Africa that is owning this land, and it is that government that is denying these people.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility. It won't be. We can't allow that to happen to the United States, not on my watch.
The N2 is currently closed between the Garden Road Mall as well as Pakaustop due to a violent protest that is taking place inside Thembaletu. The residents are demanding services.
Mr. Willems elected not to participate in this investigation. We have gone out of our way to appoint an independent somebody to look at this matter.
It's important for us to not close the door on Ashwin, because we still believe that he's got a lot of value to add.
News at 9. We go beyond the headlines of the day and breaking news to bring you all the angles and in-depth analysis of stories that impact your life. We are on the ball with all economic stories. Our bureaus around the globe are ready to connect you to events as and when they happen. So join us every day at 9 to zoom in on the day's big stories. SABC News celebrates Women's Month.
Okay, welcome back. If you've just joined us, we're talking breastfeeding, and I'm now joined by 3 other special guests. First up is Judy Kirkwood. Judy is a lactation consultant based in Johannesburg. Is that so?
Yes.
Welcome to Let's Talk, Judy.
It's lovely to see you again.
All right. And, of course, accompanying Judy is 2 lovely ladies, breastfeeding mums, who are going to share their experiences with us. The first one is Mercy Shereni. Mercy, welcome to Health Talk.
Thank you, Dr. Selo.
All right. And next to Mercy is Marlee van der Merwe.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay. So, Judy, let's start with you. I see you have what looks like breast milk.
Yes.
We'll believe you. We'll believe that it's breast milk. All right. What do you want to tell us about breast milk? Yeah?
So, Dr. Sello, I am really passionate about breast milk and breastfeeding in this country. And to all our moms out there, this might just look like normal milk, but it is actually life-sustaining medicine for our babies in South Africa. Breast milk not only has stem cells, hundreds of immune factors in it. It has just amazing benefits. It saves lives, it changes lives, and it can make impact, and it is the foundation for life. So I have the amazing job. I am a health worker. I'm a lactation consultant in the field. I work with women. I've worked with these two amazing mothers, helping them achieve their breastfeeding goals. And hopefully with teamwork, with government, we can give babies the best start in life.
So let's just get it clear now. A lactation consultant, so your job involves working with breastfeeding moms.
So breastfeeding families.
Right.
Okay, so the approach that we're trying to work in South Africa is to include fathers, include families, communities. So it's not an exclusive women's club.
Right.
It's an exclusive partner, husband. So my approach is quite specific to include the community as such. Because really breast milk is just, it's so much more than that.
All right. Well, you said you worked with these two lovely ladies. Let's hear it from them. Let's start with Mercy.
Oh, thank you.
You were breastfeeding, or you still breastfeeding? Just tell us your story.
Oh, okay. I exclusively breastfed my baby for 6 months.
Wonderful.
With the help of Judy Kirkwood.
Yeah.
It was not easy, as I gave birth at a public hospital, and it was my first baby. And honestly speaking, all they could do was say, breastfeed your child. There was no practical way like to show me how my baby is going to latch or how to do it. So then when I went back home, I'd known Judy for quite a long time. She had helped me. Also, I had problems with conceiving, but she helped me through that.
Yeah.
So I called her, and then she helped me a lot. She would encourage me, even if I would call her at late night, 2 a.m. when I'm struggling, she would say, you know what, just concentrate, relax, look at your baby. The milk will naturally come.
Yeah. So what was the problem? Did you not feel like you were able to breastfeed?
It was, since it was my first time, I didn't know if the milk is enough for the baby, or if am I giving her enough milk, or is she getting enough? So sometimes she would just cry, and I wouldn't know what's the problem. So when I call her, she would tell me, you know what, just continue giving your baby the milk, and just relax and think of the good things that you want for your child, and the milk will naturally come out.
Who else were you living with in your home?
I live with my husband, a very supporting man, and my mom came through because I had a C-section. So in the first few weeks, I couldn't do a lot of things. So my mom was there to help me, and my husband was my 100% supporter in everything that I was doing. Yes.
Wonderful to hear. Let's hear Marlee. You exclusively breastfed as well?
Yes, I'm in the fortunate position to see a bigger picture because I have two boys, a 4-year-old and then the 18-month-old. And with Benjamin, my firstborn, it was a disaster. So I gave up by 8 weeks postpartum. And when I fell pregnant again, I was adamant on getting it right.
Yeah.
And then I had a little bit of a curveball. Ross was born prem. He was born at 36 weeks, and we had the whole element of ICU, and I actually just accepted that I'm not going to be able to breastfeed. And luckily, my paths crossed with Judy, and she helped me through the whole process, getting my milk supply going, and he was exclusively breastfed, well, with breast milk, in ICU, even when I couldn't even get him to latch yet. So it was amazing.
Okay, I'm going to ask if any of you were working, whether you were able to breastfeed at work. But first, let's take Kiabetse from Bloemfontein. Kiabetse, welcome to Health Talk.
Hello.
Hello, Kiabetse.
My question, I heard... yes, I heard...
Hello, Kiabetse.
I had a lady asking about...
All right, Kebetse, just do me a favor. We'll get back to you just now. Just switch off your television set for a while, and we'll come back. Just tell me about whether or not you are working and you're able to breastfeed at work.
Thank you. I am working. Yeah. I work at a school, at an after-school program. I was fortunate enough in that I started in the afternoon. So in the morning, I would breastfeed my child, and then I would express before I go to work. And then at work, my superior was very good with me. She didn't give me a place to express, but she gave me fewer time to work, and then I'll knock off early and I'll go home early than my usual time so that I can have more time to breastfeed my child. So with my situation at my workplace, they were so supportive, and that made me also to continue breastfeed my child until 18 months.
You were lucky all round, eh? You had a supportive family, a supportive employer, you had Judy supporting you. Very lucky.
Very lucky indeed.
What about you, Mali?
I went back to work 11 weeks postpartum. I'm an actress, so there's a little bit of a challenge around it. Like, you can't tell everyone to stop because my breasts are full. But I just took the challenge head on, and whenever I had a break, when there was a tea break or lunch, I just quickly took 20 minutes and I expressed at work, and I would store that milk for the next day when my child had to go to daycare. And it worked out, and I have to say, management was actually really amazing, much more than I anticipated. Right. But there was really support. I think if you just approach them and just communicate what you want, you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Let's take Lisa from George. Lisa, welcome to Health Talk.
Oh, good. Yes, sir. I just want to ask why I should stop breastfeeding my kid if my kid is 6 months. Ne? I'm HIV positive. I'm willing to conceive also.
You're willing to?
To conceive.
Okay.
So I'm just want to ask, why should I stop my kid to breastfeed if my kid is 6 months?
All right. Excellent question. The question is, and I'll put it to you if you're able to answer it, of course, right? She's HIV positive. She's willing to conceive, or she's thinking of conceiving. But I think the information she's been given is that you can only breastfeed up to 6 months. After 6 months, you stop. And the question is, why should I stop?
Okay, so she definitely mustn't stop. She must carry on breastfeeding until it's mutually beneficial to her and her baby. So if she wants to have another child, your milk will, as if she conceives, her milk will become less and less, and she will naturally wean. So we normally say wean with love and carry on. So the advice with HIV, breastfeed. You're like any other mom in the field. We kind to you, we support you, and there are many lactation consultants in South Africa that can assist you. So that's really important.
All right, okay. And for Kiabetsi, who tried to call us on the line, we'll try and see if we can re-establish our conversation, and we'll get back to you just after a quick break. Please stay with us.
Clientele funeral plans.
It's your final gift of love.
I chose the clientele funeral plan because it's affordable and suits my budget.
I chose clientele because they are an original. They've been around for a long time, and I know within my family are in good hands.
I'm a farmer and I'm a businessman, and I know a good deal when I see one. Clientele is a good deal.
Clientele is the name I trust.
SMS plan to 31043 and we'll call you back.
The people who bend the spoon are our parents. They want us to have a bright future, but they are doing this.
Refrain from burning schools, refrain from burning property. I am not missing my words. Those that shall be found, definitely they must face the full might of the law.
I always say entrepreneurship are those that see opportunities where others don't.
You can't give me a bad deal. You can't cheat me.
because I'll read my own contract. I know what's going on in my contract.
But I've never been afraid of a challenge. I'm one of those people.
I didn't know the difference between my money and the business money. Whatever money that came in used to be your money. You'd go shopping, driving all these cars, and we were forgetting to pay creditors.
If we're more diligent with how we utilize our money.
So the great thing with this and my other job, being an advocate, is that in both industries, I sort of own my time.
Today, we're doing inner city buildings, we're doing commercial projects, and we're doing property development even within the township scale, and even now going to the extent of now even establishing offices in the States to be able to raise capital to invest in Africa.
Keep it locked to Bupilong every Saturday at 5:30. What are the people's attitudes towards breastfeeding in public?
Mina ngithi zonke zi-right. Umama akakhipha ibele lakhe ancelise umntwana afile free ngoba phela umntwana usuke elambile angithi and manje uyabona ukuthi usuke ingekho nendawo yokuthi angamsiza khona umntwana yabo.
Considering ama benefits umntana abanawo from ukufeedwa ibisi laka mama, so I think into eshabu kakhulu leyo. Sonke let's understand more especially thina machito, because it's not about us. It's about the health yomntana and ukuthi abe sharp.
Very positive coming from men out there, very supportive. Eh? All right, so we're going to be wrapping up our discussion on breastfeeding. I'm rejoined by my guest, Dr. Leslie Bamford from the National Department of Health, sitting in the middle, Judy Kirkwood, lactation consultant, and Chantel Witten from Northwest, or Saxo Watch, and Northwest University. All right. In the earlier clip, obviously we played, we heard stories, personal stories from breastfeeding moms, and there were a few issues around, breastfeeding at the workplace. Let's start with perhaps legislation. Where are we in terms of compliance to legislation that employers, need to give breastfeeding mothers a chance to breastfeed their babies?
It's so much.
So since 1997, under the Employment Act, women have been protected during pregnancy and the first 6 months of breastfeeding. So under the Code of Good Practice, employers should be making available space and time. The space is a clean, safe space. So as Saxo, what we want our women to know that they're entitled to the space, that we're not asking moms to go breastfeed in the toilet or express in the toilet or stand in the stairwell or go to the car park to do it in their cars, that they can call upon the legal protection. The second thing is the time that they are allocated. Women are allowed to have 2 30-minute sessions, excluding their tea time and excluding their lunch time. So it's in addition. It's not that you give up your lunch hour to go and do your expressing. What we do need to do is to make this more public, because employers are not advertising it. They're not putting it into the employee orientation program.
Right.
Every woman needs to know this, that when she falls pregnant and she starts to fill out her application to go on maternity leave, she should already know that she can call on the law to protect her when she comes back. What we do want to do as Saxo Watch is to engage government so that we can change the legislation to protect women up to 2 years, because we are now asking women to breastfeed for 2 years. The 6 months is to support exclusive breastfeeding, but the actual breastfeeding journey is 2 years. So employers can't just stop at 6 months and say, okay, now your privileges are over. So we want to advocate to government, can we look at the legislation to extend it for the full 2 years?
Right. Okay, let's take Anonymous on the line. I'm not sure where the Anonymous is calling from. Anonymous, welcome.
Good day, sir. I'm from Rustenburg.
Yes.
My question is, my first child is 5 years old. I couldn't breastfeed because I had a problem with my breast. She couldn't. They were just too big and bad. It was a problem for her to just feed on it. Then the doctor decided, no, don't breastfeed. So now I'm pregnant with my second one. I'm asking myself, am I going to go through the same trauma again, or should I just not consider breastfeeding totally? And how does it affect me, and how is it going to affect both my kids?
Very good questions there. Let's give it to Dr. Bamford. So firstly, the issue around the breast being big and the doctor saying because the breast is big, you can't breastfeed?
So in general, that is certainly not true.
Yes.
It's difficult to comment on individual cases, But in our I don't think that is not a reason not to breastfeed.
Yeah.
Perhaps the mum will need a little bit more help. And we do recognize that, and I think that is one of the barriers, that some mothers manage with little or no help, and some mothers do need help and support. And we need to, the challenge is to make sure that every woman does receive the support and help that she needs.
What sort of support would you give?
So to that mom, I really want to say to you, I want you to definitely try and breastfeed. And the first time is not going to dictate your second journey. So every parent, every family unit deserves to be given that opportunity. And most certainly contact me. I will give you details of a lactation consultant in your area. But it's a new beginning, a new birth, a new experience. And to say it's not black and white. It's the cards are open, and we'll help you.
Right.
We'll give you hope.
So going forward now, I mean, we're saying, you know, we've gone through all of the issues around breastfeeding. We certainly have a lot of work to do, like you said earlier. Let's look at public perceptions and breastfeeding in public. What should be done in that area?
Well, I think that's an area really where we need advocacy and information. So it is very encouraging. In the media, there have been reports recently of some chains making a statement that mothers are welcome to breastfeed in their stores or restaurants. Yeah. And we would certainly encourage far more companies, restaurants, shops to make similar statements and make similar commitments.
Yeah. All right. Let's take Lungani on the line now. Lungani, welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
We're good. How are you, Lungani?
Good. I've got a kid who is 3 weeks old now. I'm breastfeeding exclusively. I've done it to my previous son. Now I'm going to work.
Well done.
And my question is, now I have to express. There's something that you didn't touch.
Okay.
How best can we, the best method how to express, can you use those pumps? Can you use your hands? And what food can you take? And how many meals? Because this child which is in front of the lactation, it's for me it's difficult to feed it up. How best can we work around that one?
Excellent question. Let's give it to Judy.
Okay, so you can definitely use your hands, or you could get a hand pump, but basically going to work, I would recommend that you take a little cooler box, that you have a little bit of time to hand express, and then obviously put your milk in a container, and your milk is safe in that little cooler box for 8 hours between a room temperature. So you don't need anything fancy to breastfeed or to express. We just need to really do it. But obviously to get support, and there are websites, and we've got numbers, and we can support you in that process.
Okay. But surely pumps cost a bit of money.
A lot of money, exactly. But there are much more sort of reasonable hand pumps on the market that are also really great, and also hand expressing. I mean, the technique is, once we show you the technique, it's really easy to do. So it's not to scare moms and say it's a whole stressful thing. It's to kind of manage. What we like to do is work with you and explain and have time with you and show you everything carefully. So the clinic workers, the clinic sisters, lactation consultants, you can WhatsApp me and I will do my best to try and help you. So certainly it can be done and it can be managed, and this breast milk will be able to be out of the fridge for about 8 hours at room temperature.
Okay, all right, okay. And so it's important also in terms of where it's stored. If there's no fridge at the workplace and they have a cooler box,
so it can be stored in the cooler box with the 2 blocks. So like the little cooler box that I had just now, it's safe like that for 24 hours.
Okay.
It can be in the fridge for 8 days and the freezer for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap our discussion now. Going forward, we've spoken about the public. Do you want to add to the employers?
Yes, certainly for Saxco Watch going forward, we want to advocate, we want to raise awareness. We would like to work on legislation to extend our maternity protection for women in the workplace. And we would like to build a breastfeeding culture. As Dr. Leslie said, we've seen good movements in the media. We've seen good movements with organizations coming out and saying women can freely breastfeed in our establishments. So I think South Africa is moving in the right direction. but we need to protect women in the workplace. And so that's where we're going to be putting our efforts, and we would like to invite anybody who wants to work on the breastfeeding agenda to visit us on our SABC Watch Facebook page.
All right, we're going to give out the contact details just now. Dr. Bamford, in terms of the Department of Health now, any targets that we're working towards perhaps?
Well, I think we need to focus on making sure that women have the information and that our health workers support them as far as possible. We spoke about Mom Connect. We have a new Road to Health booklet, which has a lot more information to support mothers.
Just tell us about it. What's special about it this time around?
So we've always, for many years, mothers or children have received a Road to Health booklet at birth. But we have revamped the Road to Health booklet. We've based it around our 5 pillars, which we say now are the things that children need to be happy and healthy. Those are good nutrition, which starts with breastfeeding, love, play and talk, protection from disease, health care when they're sick, and some children need extra care. And the new Road to Health booklet, and in some parts of the country, mothers are now receiving these books. Some mothers are still receiving the older book. We've really made an effort to put in engaging material and information so that our mothers can engage with the book and receive the correct information.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this is all we're going to have to... We're going to have to leave it here because unfortunately we've run out of time. I want to thank you so much for your contribution. Judy Kirkwood, Dr. Leslie Bamford, and Chantal Whitten from SABC Watch. And that's all we have for you today. So now, in honor and memory of my late classmate, Professor Bongani Mayos, and may his soul rest in peace, I just want to leave you with a short message. That depression is a severe mental illness and can affect anyone. Now, most people can recover from the chronic condition, but in some cases it might linger on and some people may struggle with it. So if you or your loved ones are, battling with this condition, now please speak to your doctor or somebody else close to you, or just call SADC at the very least at the number 0800 567 567 or 0800 1213 and 14. That's a short message I just wanted to leave with you. Thank you very much for all the calls. And this is where we're going to have to leave it for today. See you back next week, same time. I'm Dr. Silo Mukdaung. Until then, please do take care.